Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. info@ladiestalkshow.com. Send in your questions. We have a lot of questions. The questions you guys are asking are so good. They're deep, but they're relatable by everybody. Really, really awesome, especially the mother-in-law. Hello. Okay. What you got today, Gila?
Okay, so Adina's question is, we need marriage therapy badly, but my husband isn't interested in working on the relationship. He has a lot of childhood trauma, but when I worked on compassion, I run on empty. He doesn't have a Rav or friends. Where do I go with this?
Boy, there's only one place to go with this, and that's to get a frum therapist yourself. She will help you to deal with the issues, and also that's your highest chance of learning how to get him into therapy, either with you or by himself, so he can deal with his trauma, get over his trauma. It could be that, when people have trauma, if the wife, is like, well, yeah, come on, that was 20 years ago. Why is it still bothering you? No, that's that. But if a wife really has compassion and, says things like, he does something, you're like, oh, that's great. And he goes, yeah. And you're like, no, probably because you were little and traumatized, you can't take compliment in. But what you just did was great. It really, read my lips. It was great what you did. So what that is bolstering him up and building him up and helping him to heal. But it's also acknowledging that the trauma was real and whatever pain he went through, you get it. And that is so, so healing for a person who's gone through trauma. So, there's some people who think, oh, if they make a big deal of it and they keep whatever, that it'll be a person's excuse or a ticket out of them having to take responsibility for their life. If they acknowledge it and make it, it makes it bigger. And you know what? You can't make it bigger. You can't make it smaller. It is what it is. And the more you take it into consideration in who he is and how and what he's gone through. And can you imagine? It's sad. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have a Rav. He doesn't, it's sad. And you can be his healing. And the more compassion you can give to him, not babying him and not making him feel belittled and not making him feel like, he's less than or he's broken or whatever, but saying something like, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me how someone with your history came out to be so nice. Look how you just handled that gasoline attendant. I mean, or whatever, it's like, it's mind boggling. That is not something that was brought up and you're just that way. You had to work to be like that. I'm so impressed with who you created yourself to be. Do you know how much that means? So again, yes, you're the victim to your husband's history and the fact that he won't go to therapy and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of little actions you can take that can help him heal and help him take better care of you because of it. I mean, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's you're obligated to do, to heal him and to take care of him and to love him and to for whatever reason, God gave you this particular challenge, would you choose that challenge? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. We don't usually choose our challenges. We'd rather get somebody else's challenge, like winning the lottery for $10 billion, but these are the challenges God gave you. And you can say, it shouldn't be this way and whatever, and I can't deal with it. Or you can say, okay, this is my challenge. Given these decks of cards that I've been given, which is not what I would prefer, but this is what God gave me, how am I going to play my cards? And the minute you start thinking like that, there's an empowered feeling of feeling like you have some ability to affect how that relationship's going, how your life is going, rather than feeling a victim to it. So I hear you. I'm sorry you've got to deal with this thing. Your first step is get yourself to a frum therapist so that she can help you you heal and you feel stronger and able to understand what's going on emotionally with yourself, to be able to deal with it in a better way. Good luck with you. Thank you for reaching out, and our hearts and souls and love is with you. We're supporting you. We're your sisters, and we hope that you can get through this situation and help your husband heal so that he can take as good care of you as possible. Good question. Thanks. Okay, Gila.
Amen. Okay. Someone actually, I guess they heard your mother-in-law questions.
Okay. Last
Um,
week's show,
and
don't miss it. Go back and watch last week on Love Mothers-in-Laws. Okay, go
so
ahead.
she wrote in, I have the opposite to in-law problems. I get tense around my mother, but my husband has a great relationship with her. Do I need to distance myself from her, even though the tension is only for me and not my husband?
Wow, that's an interesting question. It's almost irrelevant what relationship your husband has with your mother. I mean, that's nice, that's better than if he had bad relationship with her, but you're not Machayev obligated to be with your mother if she makes you tense. I mean, provided you've made some kind of effort to make things better, whether that's going to therapy with your mother or whether that's, telling your mother what resentments you have and what grudges you have, or working on yourself to let go of those resentments and grudges yourself, which sometimes is hard if the person's not forthcoming and saying, I'm sorry, So I don't know what's causing that tension. So it's a little hard to answer this question specific to what you're asking. But if you have a situation where, what's the word I'm looking for? If you have a situation where there's dysfunction or mental health issues or abuse or communication barriers with your mother, and there's tension there, and you've really tried this and that, and you talk to your sisters to try and figure it out, or spoken to a therapist or a rebbitzin or a rabbi and said, my mother does this, and it just rubs me the wrong way. How do I get over it? And you've really put some effort in. If you put zero effort, I don't have sympathy. But if you put some effort in and really, really tried, and it's still a disaster or tense and whatever, you just need distance. And, again, ask your local Orthodox Rav what is appropriate. And I would really try and look for somebody who maybe has a lot of experience in familiar relationships, because I don't usually recommend distance unless it's causing shalom bayis problems. So you didn't necessarily say whether it was, but I got that sense because you said your husband gets along with him fine, and you're just sitting there like, So you need to look into that and analyze where that's coming from. But if you need an answer that follows halacha about what appropriate contact or distance is, that you need a really competent Rav who has experience with familiar relationships. That's where I would go with this. Yeah, just trying to think if there's any other little details. Yeah, I mean, if you're still on and you can ask the question, I'd like to know how it affects your relationship, because that would be crucial answer to the question. So what was her name?
One second, Chevy.
Chevy. So Chevy, if you're still on, answer the question, how does that affect your relationship with your husband, so that I can answer that aspect of it, because that's really the most important, crucial part. Okay, good. Gil, let's go on to the next question if that comes in.
Okay, no problem. Sari is asking, you speak a lot about being soft and sweet, but I'm just not. I'm very harsh and strong, and it's something my husband was attracted to. Now I don't know where to put myself. Do you think it actually bothers my husband?
You got to ask him, I assume if you're asking this question, there's been conflict because of it. What'd you say? There's what?
And she might be sensing it.
Yeah, she might be exactly. So if you're sensing that, conflict, look, harsh is popular today. So you're right on trend, but it's, a person can be forthright and straight with their facts in a sweet way, so rather than trying to shift your whole personality, because as you said, he fell in love with you the way you are. He married you the way you are. And fall in love is not exactly our thing. So, but anyway, he liked that in you. You think it's kind of hard to know what it was, and it might have changed. That might have been your impression of what he liked about you. I don't know. But still, as human beings, Chazal tell us that we need to work on being softer and softer and softer over the years. So whereas right now you might say, get away from that. You're not supposed to be, whatever. And that is because you're harsh and you just say it like it is or whatever, certain personality traits, certain nationalities, whatever. And that's how you are. So you might have to, work on yourself to say, get away from that or try to get away from that, just work on little subtle things of being softer and softer and softer each and every year. And your ear will become tuned to what comes across softer. So instead of yelling at a kid to, clean up your room, you'd say, do you mind cleaning up your room? And then a few years later, like, when you grow yourself to be better, you'd say something like, I'd really appreciate if you clean up your room. And that, years later, when you became better, you're like, if you have your room cleaned by 2, I'll take you to ice cream. I don't know. I'm making this up. But how the scale. I not even haven't thought about this prior to this answering this question. So I'm, my iterations of better might be a little off. But you get the general gist. You're just trying to grow yourself into a softer and softer person. And if you started off harsh, it's going to be, you're going to be, you might work on it for 10 years and still be not where somebody who started out soft. You know what I'm saying? So don't beat yourself up about it, but it is definitely something to work on. And obviously, as Gila said, you probably sense it in your husband that he'd prefer you be softer. And that's what we should all be working on, myself included. We should all each year just be more and more soft. Great question. Okay, Gila, what you got?
Wait, do you want to hear the continuation from Chevy or should
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Chevy.
He's
good.
Tuned in.
Okay, good.
So
okay.
Chevy's saying it doesn't affect our shalom bayis, but I'm tense, which isn't healthy. But my husband enjoys her company. So I should go with that. So I should go with what he prefers and keep inviting her even if I'm tense.
Oh, I'm glad it doesn't affect your shalom bayis. That's crucial. But
so in other words, it affects her inner peace.
Right, which is not good. So the issue with that is that there just needs to have a compromise. So let's say he would love to have her every week for Shabbos, and you like to have her once a year for Shabbos. You like to have her, maybe once a month. So you make a compromise every other week, or every third week or something like that. It should lean a little towards you. So in other words, if he wants her every Shabbos and you want her once a month, it should be once every 3 weeks, not half. Am I making sense there? The math equations are a little bit confusing, but I'm just saying it should lean towards you being comfortable. You being in a room with your mother in a tense situation with the family there, it's not good for your marriage. I don't care whether you say, oh, no, it doesn't affect the marriage. It affects the marriage because when someone's tense, they're going to be withdrawn. They're not going to engage fully. They're not going to, when your mother walks out the door, you're not going to have this overwhelming feeling of love for your husband. You want to create your life so that many times a day you have an overwhelming, how did I get married to him? How did that happen? Don't hold yourself to such a high bar, but I'm just saying you want to create the logistics in your life to bring out the best in you. If your husband never takes out the trash and it bothers you all day long and you're just mad at him. And then he says, oh, can you bring me some water? Like, well, when you take out the trash, if there's this constant aggravation that he's not taking out the trash, there's not going to be closeness. So what's the solution? Pay the neighbor $5 to come to your house every day at 4:00 in the afternoon and take out the trash. I don't know, I'm making it up, but I'm just saying, don't put yourself in a situation that's going to cause you to have agmas nefesh. And how do you translate that? I don't know.
Yeah, like stirring of the heart, like not being able to be calm with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put yourself in that miserable situation. So I'm very much leaning towards either improving your relationship with your mother and the tenseness and digging into that if that's possible. If that's way too big of a heavy and your mother and you tried and nothing ever works and whatever, okay, then you have to live with that as it is. But your menuchas nefesh, your peace of mind, is very, very crucial to the peace of mind of your marriage and the peace of mind in your home with your children and with everybody else. So if that's going to disturb that, it is a problem. So it could be that your mother isn't doing anything wrong, but it's things she did in the past. And then maybe you have to figure out how to forgive. Maybe you're the type of person who finds it very hard to forgive and can't go there, and you're bearing grudges, which we're halakhically obligated to not bear grudges. So you need to work on that. Or it could be she is completely irritating, or she has a thing against you, or you're the scapegoat for your whole family. You were the youngest child, or you were the middle child, or you were the oldest. And, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's just in the too hard basket to try and fix immediately. Then you need a little distance. So again, ask a local Orthodox Rav what is appropriate. And you need to talk with your husband and say, there's a balance between his enjoyment in life and my uncomfortability. And really, his loyalty is got to be with you. And if you're uncomfortable, it's almost like he shouldn't enjoy your mother's company because she hurt you. She's hurting you, if she is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're at fault. Maybe she is. I have no idea. But all of these things need to be taken into consideration and thought about carefully and planned out carefully so that you can build a better future in this situation. Thank you for responding back. I'm glad you were still here. We got it. That was great.
Perfect. We have time for one more question, so let's jump into it.
Okay.
My husband is very emotionally needy and often dumps all his stress on me and vents all the time. While I try to be sympathetic and understanding, I kind of feel like he needs to man up. I hate to admit that it makes me respect him less as a man.
So her question is,
yeah, I guess what does she do about that? She feels like she like her husband's becoming a whiner, and she feels like, either grow up, man up. She doesn't know what to do with all his emotional neediness. And I guess the respect aspect, like she's starting to lose respect for him, that I would want to answer her question about how to feel like she respects him.
Right. So the thing that's troubling me about this question is the fact that she's saying, I opened up my birthday present and I didn't like what I got in my birthday present. What do I do? It's kind of like, this is what you're given. This is the cards you were dealt. And I mean, I hear that, but and okay, let's say he didn't complain one time before you married him, and then now he's just turned into a complainer. It's like, that's how life is. I'm sure, when before you fell pregnant the first time, if you have kids, you didn't realize that you're going to be like, I've got to have kids. Whatever it is, we change and we grow and we become, I don't know what the cause of someone complaining all the time. Sometimes it's just bad habit. Sometimes they are in pain inside, emotional pain, maybe not even having anything to do with you, but from childhood trauma or dysfunction, or they could be mental health issues. Who knows? Who knows what's causing him to complain all the time? It's really hard to get someone to not complain all the time. And it doesn't mean he's less than. It means that's his way of processing things. It could be his way of feeling closer to you is sharing what's going on and the pain he's feeling in his life. That could be his reaching out to you to try and feel closer to you. So for you to have a response of showing less respect for him has got to be very, very painful for him. Meaning good chance he's using his complaining to try and get sympathy from you and get understanding and to feel close to you and feel bonded to you. And a man knows when he's not respected. You having a response that pulls away or doesn't give him what he wants or doesn't listen to him or just like rolls your eyes or whatever, it's got to be even more painful. And what does someone do when they have more pain? No, they reach out to be closer. You know what I'm saying? So then they complain more. So I'm not trying to blame the victim. I know that it looks like, you're the one who's suffering and I'm sitting here saying it's your fault. I'm not trying to do that at all. What I'm trying to do is give you the reins and the ability to affect the situation and understanding the psychological dynamics that are making this thing not work. I was going to say work, but it's not work. Understanding that will, Meretz Hashem, be able to hopefully be able to help you to realize that there's always something a wife can do. So I think the first thing I would try would be to, when he's complaining, is to really validate his feelings. Don't lose respect for him. Work on yourself to not lose. Respect is granted, never earned. So if you're not respecting to him, that's on you. That's your bad. Someone says, well, I can't respect him. He doesn't earn money. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't whatever. No, if you respected him, even given that he's sitting on the couch doing nothing, he will feel so good about himself that something will fall into his lap. First of all, it brings more bracha into the home, so you'll have a better chance of him getting a job. But also, if a man is respected, then when he goes on the job interview, he's going to get the job in a much higher ratio than if your respect for him goes lower and lower and lower. Then he goes in the job interview and he can't convince them that he's a great guy because his wife doesn't think he's a great guy. So very, very crucial that you remember respect is granted, never earned. And in this situation, you're respecting him less because of his complaining is going to just be a downward spiral. So you got to boost your respect for him in any and every way you can. And that means, try to, don't sit in his chair, try and, if the kids are interrupting your conversation, say, excuse me, daddy's talking right now. Actually in Marriage Secrets, I've got I think 50 or 100 different things you can do to respect your husband. So I would go that route of doing all the activities, all the actions that show respect, regardless. It doesn't matter how you feel. Your job is to respect your husband. End of story. We have many sources from Chazal that talk about this. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that if his complaining is just like the bulk of your relationship with him, and you're feeling like you're just like this punching bag of his, listening to his whatever, I would talk to him about it and say, I get it. Maybe I'm not validating enough of what's going on in your life, and when you complain, you feel sad, and there's nothing that can be done about it, and and I'm not there for you in the way you need, and I feel bad about that, and I'm really going to try harder to be there for you so that you feel heard and validated with your emotions and your feelings. But on the same token, I also would like some reprieve from the complaining. So can we have a no complaining zone, like maybe at dinner time, or maybe when we go on our date on Wednesday night or Motzei Shabbos or something, we have a no complaining zone so that I have permission when we're talking about the kids and we're talking about going roller skating and we're talking about, our vacation or whatever, I feel close to you. When the complaining starts, because I'm not up to it and I'm working on it to be able to validate you more, I feel like it's time for me to just be there for you rather than us being together. I'm kind of mushing up the words yet because I'm trying to figure out a way. Again, it's very hard sometimes to answer a question without a dialogue. So I'd be asking you a lot of questions of how would he react to this? How would he, and then I'd be able to tailor it a little bit better. So I'm trying to be general and specific at the same time. A little crazy. But anyway, hopefully you got enough here to sort of realize that there is a lot you can do to affect the situation. So if you were telling him and you say, can we have complaint-free zones, in time that we can have, and at those times when we're out to dinner, I have permission to say, complaining, you already complained once today, you get one complaint per dinner, out to dinner, per date or whatever, if you can make light of it and whatever, talk to him about that. And hopefully that will also ease it for you so that while you're dealing with all the respect issues that you're working on and you're working on all this other stuff, you also get a little bit of a reprieve. Okay, that was it for today. Let me give you your homework for this week. One time when your husband expresses an emotion or complains or says something to the homework is to one time this week to validate what your husband has said. even you don't agree with it, you don't respect it, you don't like it, you don't whatever, just to validate it. Have him feel like he is heard. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time.